welcome to Fraudible, the video podcast that brings together academics and practitioners and to discuss all things fraud. In this episode, we're going to be discussing cybercrime and fraud, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Bing Han and Will Taaffe. Bing, would you mind giving us a brief introduction into your background and to your work, please?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So my name is Bing Han. So you can guess from the name, and my accent. And I'm a Chinese, so I was studying fraud and kind of like economic crime in the University of Portsmouth. And eventually, I got my doctorate degree. And I found a job in this university as well. So now I'm a lecturer in economic crime. So nice to see you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Will?
Hi there. I'm William Taaffe, Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Lockdown Cybersecurity. We offer cyber training services, introducers of cyber insurance, and we work with large organizations who are delivery partners for us that deliver just about every scope of work across cybersecurity and that whole kind of holistic portfolio.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So let's start off on something, Will, that I know that you wanted to cover. So intelligence in the cybercrime space and how that links to fraud detection and prevention. What are your thoughts on the use or the omission of intelligence in that?
Yeah, I suppose the thing is with cybersecurity that there's still a conception that it's all around technology and it's rooted in technology. Mm. And that goes back decades, really, when we first started seeing antivirus. And I think in some ways, virus was a term that was used in the 90s. It was a seek and destroy type tool. It's called malware now, right? We changed the names change and the mechanism of what the crime is. But back in those days, I think there was a perception that, when McAfee antivirus came out, Norton antivirus, you protected yourself by doing that. And so there's a conception maybe that technology can solve the problem of cybercrime. And cybercrime is so much wider and vast than just the technology piece. And so within organizations, we preach and we try to talk to boards and teach boards to look at cybersecurity across many different layers. And one of those layers, which is a really interesting layer, just from an interest from a practitioner's perspective, but also it's really, really valuable for organizations, is intelligence that they can gain, either intelligence on their own cyber posture, on what's out there already about them, from a criminal perspective, what's emerged onto the dark web, what's in the deep web. Just to give a bit of an explainer in case people don't know, the dark web is the marketplace, right? The nefarious marketplace where people can go and acquire services and goods which are usually prohibited, right? So anything from drugs through to crime, through to forged documents, passports. It's hugely wide. This is an enormous marketplace. But the deep web is where people kind of trip up a little bit. And I suppose the best explanation I can give of the deep web is that it's the pages that exist on the internet which aren't archived by Google. So they exist, but you can't find them, right? You can't find a trace of them. And when we talk about deep web and deep web exploration that an organization can do, that also occurs into things like Telegram and WhatsApp and 4NH. So do you guys use different applications in your daily lives?
Yep.
Yeah. How many? What about you, Tim?
I don't even have more place for any other apps. So I use a lot, like music, listen to some music, gym. Even gym, I got 3 or 4. Some of the gym is got training. Some of the gym is recording. So the gym app, and of course my bank, like online banking, and teaching my models. So sometimes I need to teach Padlet. So some techniques I used to teach. So a lot. It's like the first thing I wake up is just checking those apps, of course.
What about Bing? What about messaging applications? So, like, I use WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal. I mean, the list is enormous, right? Like,
yes.
You both similar? Do you both use?
Yeah, Chinese community is more like using what we call WeChat. WeChat is similar to WhatsApp, but through WeChat you actually can transfer money to any other people, and WeChat you can even like watch news on WeChat and the video phone call. So it's not just like a simple chatting function. It's involved a lot of things you can do. Some people do business through WeChat because it can easy to reserve the money or pay for the money, things like that.
So all these fraud alarm bells are ringing when you're saying this.
I can see them.
Yeah, and I suppose this is where there's so much value, right? Like, so it raises 2 points for me. One is that, here's a weird one, right? People talk about data being gold, or data is the new oil. You hear these buzz phrases bandied about. But the thing is, when businesses are valuing, do they value data on their balance sheet? They don't, right? You don't value data in the balance sheet. But at the same time, we know that criminals are interested in data because for them, it has a value, right? So even though we're not valuing it in our balance sheets as organizations, the criminals know that there is a value to that. And so what we're seeing a lot of actually is movement. So first of all, the amount of apps that you carry, right? 3 for the gym, right? And so with all of these things, you have credentials. And what people tend to do is that they think, I can't remember 1,000 passwords, so I'll start reusing them, right? And I'll just have core passwords that I use for core things. The problem being with that is that we're becoming so much more data centric. People are sharing a lot more. Like I remember at the start of the internet, where you couldn't share your opinion, and it was just what was phrased to you, right? And there wasn't this expression of free. Like I every now and then I just sit on a train, watch people's behaviors, watch them on Instagram. I don't even own Instagram, right? But I'm watching people, and like they're literally taking videos of themselves all the time. They're before putting all this content about themselves, about what they like, what they don't like, their views on things, videos about themselves. Apologies for my cat here. And then everything else, right? So actually, there's huge amounts of data that we've got. And the problem with that is if one password is breached onto one site and you've used the same password over and over, that then gives access to other applications. And within the actual applications, so mobile applications, we obviously saw a massive rise in that just before the pandemic, or just after the pandemic especially, right? But even before that was where things were going. But all of a sudden the pandemic happened, and then we had Telegram, and then we had Signal, and we had all these additional applications that suddenly joined into our our daily lives of what we did. What we're seeing is actual crime moving away from, so it's a marketplace crime moving away from the dark web, moving on to the Telegram. Actually, Telegram is like the biggest culprit for it, I think, right? There is loads of it. So actually, whereas once, people were using the dark web to potentially purchase narcotics or pharmaceutical narcotics, now they're actually purchasing off Telegram conversations, right? And this is where this marketplace has evolved. So I think when we're looking for fraud, we have to look outside of like your traditional mechanisms of where we're looking at. And it's very easy to go, okay, let's trawl social media. Let's see what there's on OSINT. Let's use open source intelligence. And that is brilliant. Like, I think if you're doing that, thumbs up, like that's really superb. But going that extra layer, the volume of data, I mean, you've probably got 200 billion more data points. That's a mind-blowing number, isn't it? Right? And that's the value of that data, is being able to find out, are you going to be attacked, right? Is there chatter that's indicating that an attack is imminent, right? What value is that to an organization to repel that if they know before it happens that they're being targeted in that way? Being able to understand credentials that have been leaked that give people access into your organization is huge, right? It's a data breach, it's personal data, so it's compliance and regulatory. That's massive as well. And then also just from an investigative perspective, this fraud is a huge problem, isn't it? And it's a growing problem. And cybercrime is just this enormous beast, right? And we're all the time, we're innovating new technologies and new ways of doing things.
New
applications, and using WeChat to pay money through and these mechanisms, right? So we're expanding in the technology, and at the same time, I don't think we're really understanding the environment and what's happening and utilizing that side of information and data to harness that, to lead our strategy really, and to help form part of that strategy of what we do.
Yeah, I totally agree, because we are talking about cybercrime and fraud here today, but actually in China, there's like two words to describe fraud. One, we call it contact fraud. Contact fraud, which is easy to understand, like you see each other face to face in its physical words. Another one just called non-contact fraud, which you can call it cybercrime, cyber fraud, online fraud, or app fraud, or even like telecommunication network fraud, just through any other ways. So it definitely changed our lifestyle nowadays, because we don't really talk to people face to face. We are more likely to, like what we are doing here, we are through this Google meeting to talk with each other, right? So I don't think the technology is kind of like a wrong tool, but it's just the wrong people use this tool to scam other people. For example, I was just very interested in, we are talking about so many apps we are using today, and we are giving so many data to people to explore our life. Yes. But actually, sometimes, we knew like dating apps nowadays, a lot of, I had a conference like a few months ago. I had talked with one of the managers from Bumble. Bumble, the dating app, is a very influential dating app. So they're talking about, they already have some like anti-fraud measurements. So they need to check about their clients. Are you a real person? Are you provide the real identity information, things like that. So the dating app, actually, they already realized that it's easy for the scammer to scam other people. But have you think about any other apps you can still use, like music app, to scam other people, to establish a romantic relationship with other people? Just for example, I knew a case. There's a Thai woman. She lived in the UK, and how she met her husband through this music app, because she was listening to some music, and this music app has a chat function, and they start to say hi. Well, also for some scammers, the app, actually, you don't even need to have a chat function. Just you can leave a message under the post, and easy to start to have a simple conversation, and no one will feel like we met in a music app, we met in a gym app, but we not met each other from the dating app. So dating app sounds dangerous already, but how about other apps? It's easy to let the scammer get into you. It's just quite interesting. What there's other things I want to share, just through William's story, is the new technology is changing our life, but as well, like just a normal person, we don't really knew so much about the internet, the technology, to be honest. And also, it's easy for the scammer to use this against us. Just for example, we knew like there are so many online apps or like the website, you can sell your second use stuff, right? Or like you can be a buyer and a seller at the same time. So for some people feel like, if I want to sell my stuff on the website, I think it should be working in this way. Like the website gonna charge me for deposit money. We're assuming this should be happen in this way, but probably don't. So I got a case. I got a victim. She started using this second sale, like a website. So she started to sell one of her wallet. It's like a big brand wallet. So she wants to sell it online. And then some people come to contact with her, say, oh, this is a good wallet. I really want to buy from you. So it's just not like small talk. There's not like other people say, have you used this wallet? Or it's cheaper. No, this person is very direct. He said, I like this wallet. I just want to buy it. I'm going to just order it. And however, this person said, oh, I can't pay. My payment won't go through successfully because the website told me, shared a screenshot that, oh, because you as a seller, it didn't pay the deposit money. So that's why I can't make the payment successfully. And this person, the victim, feel, yes, makes sense, right? I didn't pay any deposit money. How this website allow me to sell my second use stuff on this website? So then this scammer just sent him a website, say, yeah, go check by yourself. It looks similar to the second use website. Actually, it's is a different one. Is they build up a fake website. It just look exactly like the real one. At this time, there's customer service start to talk with this seller, said, oh yeah, you need to pay some deposit money, and you need to pay this, you need to pay that, then you can start your business. And then she paid the victim, she paid 3 times. She paid the first time, they said, I'm not working, we didn't receive it, try it again 3 times.
Wow.
So, just because we are using this website or whatever, we just make it our life more convenient. We don't know so much, and we can easily to get exploited by the scammer. They just tell us a story, we just believe it because we think it makes sense.
Yeah, you make so many good points there.
It just gives some. This is just some people I interviewed, the victims I interviewed. I feel like everyone, even me, like they asked me, "Oh, you studied fraud, and you should be like a fraud expert. So you must be never be a victim from." No, I can't guarantee that.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely, I can't guarantee it at all. It's easy. Yeah. They get into you, and you thought it's a real way. It's not like dating app. So I trust these people have the same music taste as me, and we start to talk, and then.
Yeah, that's the strange thing about behaviors, isn't it? Because 2 decades ago, we were a bit more protective, right? And I can remember when I first started using the internet, and e-commerce was a very, very new concept, and nobody trusted it, right?
Yeah.
And nobody used dating apps, and if they did use, they weren't apps, they were websites. But if you did use a dating website, the first conversation you'd usually have was, what's the story we tell our friends of how we met? And you manufactured some story that you met in a pub, right? Because it was embarrassing to say that I met somebody online. 25 years later, that behavior pattern has completely changed. We've changed in the way that we do things. And you're right, like we are very trusting sometimes online with our behavior, especially when I like the same music as you, right? Like
we were like you. If you say we like the same singer, I immediately like you. Right.
Yeah. And this is not easy, difficult to do, is it? Right. I could look you up. I could kind of find out which groups that you're in. I could do reconnaissance on you as an individual. If you like to post a lot, basically, I can deem so much from that and then position myself in a way that you'd be attracted to because we have the same interests on things. Right. And so that would naturally bring that in, and then that builds trust. And then that leads. You also mentioned like all of these different marketplaces which we sell goods on, right? But that to my mind as well was just thinking of like the really obvious one, which was, 30 years ago, Bing, when you if your house was robbed, the first thing that you did was go to cash converters, which was this pawn shop where you could go in and basically what people would do was they would rob things and then go and pawn them at cash converters. So the police would advise go to cash converters. Now you've got all these marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace and Alibaba's and Vinted where you can actually sell stolen goods through there without that same level of scrutiny because it's so wide. How do you get a grip on that problem? So I think for crime in any way, right, these marketplaces are a big thing. But for individuals being targeted, one of the things that I'm hearing of a lot more recently is the huge rise in investment, especially crypto investment fraud. And in China, pig butchering is, I think it's Shajupan. Apologies if I got the pronunciation wrong, Bing. Did I say it right?
Yes, you mean the whatever is like a Bitcoin or like a visual size investment. Well, I call it a money-making fraud. Because they just encouraged you, they are not like before. Before people scam you, say, I'm in a vulnerable situation. I need your help. Please transfer for me money. Like if you're in a immediate relationship with another person. I heard a story about this. It's like my cat needs to change a kidney. So my cat needs to change a kidney. I can't afford my cats. Because NHS here is free, right? But not for the vet. And they said, my cat need a new kidney, I can't afford it, and you are my lover, could you please transfer some money to me? So that's a traditional way. People asking money from you, scam you. But nowadays, it's not like I'm in a vulnerable position. They are more like very confident. They get to you, they're very confident. No matter in a romantic relationship or just a friendship or whatever, online strangers, they will be like, I'm good at making money. And I'm from a strong background. My uncle is some upper class, whatever, working for the authority or whatever, tell you a story, ask you to kind of like force you, manipulate you to trust them because I'm rich, I have a good taste, and I have a decent job, I look good. And eventually, they said, what if it's just like say romance scam? So they will be like, I like you, I want to have a bright future with you. So I want to help you to make more money. Rather than, can you borrow me some money? Can you buy my flight tickets? They will be like, let's make money together. So there's a money-making opportunity for us. Why it makes sense because I'm from upper class, I'm a decent person, and I'm successful, I'm wealthy. So of course, there are so many money-making opportunities over there, and I will just introduce you to invest. Then let's be rich together, right? So, and also people everywhere, not just in China, everyone like to make more money. Everyone has this motivations, want to make more money. And also this is some person you have been talking for a while, and you already build up some trust relationship with this person. So easily for you to trust them. Oh yeah, there's a money making opportunity and I can invest my money and we can be rich together in future. So yeah, they're just using this kind of story to let people believe there is a real money making opportunity, but it's not. Money making opportunity can be like, let's invest a house, or let's do some online gambling. So like I'm an IT engineer, so I found a loophole on website, so I can make you win and all the time because I'm so good at technology. But other people probably don't know how it works. It just sounds so fabulous, sounds so much technique involved in, or sounds so difficult, complicated. I don't know, but he made it. So I started trusting him. It can be like investment in any other things, online visual assets or any types of investment.
Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot. I suppose it's this aspirational lifestyle, right? And that's what Andrew Tate has used to get so popular, right? It's his pictures of him in mansions, in Bugattis, smoking cigars, looking chiseled, right?
Yes.
Virtues of training, and people are going like, why am I doing my daily life here where I'm grinding all the time and hustling?
Yes.
I could be living this, I could be jet setting, right? And then I suppose you're really right with the point as well, Bing, is that there's a lot of confusion and naivety around what even is crypto, and the language that's used is very jargon heavy, right? And they have these expressions which are industry expressions, that they use. And so sometimes you can give credibility where it's faux credibility, right? It's not real, but it sounds impressive, and people will have the same opinion. Like, they might look at a rented car and go, this guy's driving his Ferrari and he can help me, and finally somebody's going to help me. And this is how they position themselves as well, and they use all of this language like, take the red pill. Is it the red pill or the blue pill? I forget which one it is. Claire, help me.
No, I forgot. Forgot the pill, like red pill or blue pill, which I want to be.
It's one of the pills, right?
One of the pill, yeah.
But that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you're part of this rat race. That's how they position it. Do you not want to break out, right? There's this select band of people who have seen the truth, right? And they can help you in a decentralized currency make all of this money through all this opportunity that won't be stopped by the government or the rich people that are going to inhibit you. And so it galvanizes you into thinking, yeah, maybe this is real. Maybe, this is what I can do with my life savings. I can take this, I can put it into this, and I can grow it, and then I can use it to do all of these things. And they encourage that and promote it. And again, use fake photographs and stand outside of other people's houses and take photos and pass it off as themselves, right? Yeah. And ultimately, that then leads to this criminal kind of network where, it gets unsuspecting people. And again, Bing, you're right. It's like, how do you then, if you're going to go in and pitch that, but you pitch it straight up, they're probably going to go no. But if they approach you first through common interests like music, for example, or gym, or hobbies, or lifestyle hobbies, that's the way to do it, right? Because that's the way to build the trust. And then once they've built the trust, then that aspirational stuff comes in. And then they're banking on people going, actually, I want to be living a better life, right? I would like to have that nice car. I want to have a new house, right? I'm worried about what I'm going to do when I have to retire. Everything's going up. All these costs are going up. Well, how am I going to generate more money with the money I've got? And that just seems like a great avenue to go down. And then, unfortunately, it leaves people without anything, right? Because they become victims of fraud. We use the word scam, but really it's just cold hard fraud. That's what it is. Has terrible ramifications for the people it affects.
Yeah, there's many ways can build up the trust, like the way they are talking, how they look like, and also from a music app or gym app, whatever. But also, I knew some case, like some people just straight say, no, I'm not interested in making money. I don't trust people online. I don't trust strangers. So they have other ways. They have alternative ways to convince you again. So for example, they got I got one interviewees. She just said, I think making money is man's job. It's man's responsibility. It's male's. So as a female, I think I just should be like a stay at home. So our future rely on you. So she's kind of using this excuse. She's smart. She just said this, but she didn't really mean it. So then that guy the scammer got angry immediately. You have no motivations at all. You are not the person I want to be with. So just you need to make money with me. So I already has a lot of money, and I just give you this opportunity. You need to. So they start to using another ways to manipulate the victim. Before they are just talking sweet. Before they just pretend to be a gentleman. But if you really have a strong attitude, reject, they gotta exploit you, manipulate you from other ways. And also, if someone is not strong enough, most of us not that strong, and will be, okay, I will try. So some of the victim probably will start to try, let's just say 50 pounds. Some people feel embarrassed to say no. So many people just feel embarrassed to say no, and they feel like if I lost 50 pounds, it's just 50 pounds. It's not too much. So why not give it a try? It's just 50 pounds. Even though some people say, I knew it's a scam. I knew 100% it's a scam. I just want to end this conversation. I just gave this people 20 pounds, 50 pounds to finish everything. Or let me figure out how this scam works out. Eventually, I only lost 20 pounds. They were thinking in this way. But let's say what happened next. So for some people, if they just keep saying no, the scammer will be like, this is my account. I'll give you my account number, my password, everything. I just tell this is the most important thing in my life because I rely on this online account to make money. So I'll give it to you. Go have a look. Go check how much money I have. It looks real because I thought this scam nowadays is organized crime. So they have technological people, a group of people help them to build up this fake app or fake things. So they can show it easily. And also they were like, okay, 20 pounds, let's start to play 20 pounds. Let's start to invest this 20 pounds. Immediately, 200 pounds I give you back. And this is the money, is real money. They will just transfer to the victim's bank account directly. And the victim can withdraw this because this is real money. And they start to believe, this guy really have ability to make 20 to 200. So, okay, next time I'm going to try 200. You try 200, probably you got 500 back. And eventually, one day, the scammer will be like, this is our last opportunity. Because as I told, they will always say they have a background, right? They have insider information. Or we have policy nowadays, so the government can be strict on our investment. We need to get out. But let's make the last time. Let's make use of our last time. Let's really make a huge money at the final time. And then they disappear. When they really invest the money, they disappear. So things like this, so easy to, they can at the beginning, starting, build up some relationship, and then they still can use some other alternative ways to convince the victim if you are not that strong enough. And also they can even give you their password. Or they can say, honey, I'm so busy today. There's an opportunity tonight. So can you operate for me? I trust you so much. I even give you my password. I use these things to make money. So the victim feel like, he trusts me so much. And of course, I can't say no to this man anymore. I rejected him so many times. And he even gave me these important things. So things like that. They are very smart. So that's why it's called nowadays cybercrime. Mostly it's not like individual against individual. It's a group of people against individual. They have different sectors, or we call it different group of people. The people who talk to you, and people who build up the fake website, who will support to give you the technology support, like a pretend to be a customer service and talk to you. And also they have training group. Because they are business, they have new employees coming. So the more experienced one even train them how you talk to a victim, how you talk to them, how you treat them, and some technology they can use. So they have different group of people, and even they have you can call it external group or sometimes internal. It is money laundering.
Yeah.
They own so much money and they need to hire people to launch the money for you. And also those kind of scam I'm talking actually is Chinese, like Chinese people commit this kind of crap. But also they're not based in China actually. Most of them actually based in some Southeast Asian countries, which is
places like that,
it's not easy for the Chinese authority to arrest them or cause any trouble. So it's kind of like risk-free. So I read some articles. It's very interesting. They are talking about, the Chinese community, let's just say based in Thailand, and just say Thailand. So based in Thailand, and they build up their business. So they have accommodation even for their employees. So they have it's like industry. This really like industry. So factory, company. And what happened is they train those people, right? And what I was trying to say is the higher ranking or higher level of people in the leadership, they are Chinese. They are Chinese. But for the lower rank, like for the people who have to make a phone call, for those people who need to be a money mule to withdraw, transfer the money, they are the local.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they are local because this can keep the leadership risk-free. No one can
they insulate from the rest of the organization, so they're insulated from.
I manage you. I built up this business. I'm in charge of everything, but I'm not really doing this dirty job. So they hire the local people to do the dirty job. So no one can trace them.
So it's exploitation as well, is what these groups are doing.
And also involved in human trafficking. It's like some Chinese. They don't know this is a scam. I'm like, let's talk about this. This is a controversial concept, actually. So Chinese people say, I saw some online advertisements, looks amazing. So you work overseas, good payment, and they pay your flight tickets, easy job, good money. So they even help you to do the visa things because Chinese need a visa to almost every country. So they will help you everything. They help you everything. When they landed to the third country, another country, they immediately got controlled. So they forced them to work for them. So I heard some story like some people, elder people who not good at computer or a laptop, like typing like this. They're typing like this. And but they need those people to contact with the victim, right? They need you typing like this. But those people can only typing like this. They're gonna resell those people to other countries because I don't need those people. So involved in human trafficking as well. But also there's another story. Some people said, some researchers actually or social media feel like those people should be know what they are doing to another country. It looks too good to be true. They should be able to know that why there is a good job opportunity for some people who can only type words like this. And why you think you can make so much money in Thailand. So you need to realize you are working for the scam. You are working for organized crime. But you just play innocent. So it's very interesting. Some people feel like, yes, it definitely involved in human trafficking. But some people feel like those people are lying. They're
coming forward themselves. They just want
victim. They play like a victim. I know nothing. I got controlled. So
no, it's a good. I suppose it brings me on to a few different things with what you've just said. First of all, in terms of like these money mule operations and organized criminal gangs, I won't say exactly where, but I was in a small country, and they were talking about a Nigerian operation that had been running since 1980s that was involved in loads of different types of fraud, and that they had 1,500 mules that they believed were operating in this country. That was somewhere in Europe, right? I won't say where, but just the scope of that, and that's just one hub of this whole laundering operation of what they're doing. And then there was an incident, there was a case study that I was looking at recently, and it was called the Quackbot malware infrastructure. Have you ever looked at that? Is that new to either of you? Have you heard of that one, Bing?
What's the name again?
Quackbot, Quak, yeah, Quackbot, Quack malware. So,
yes.
So basically what happened was this began life in 2008 and it was a banking Trojan, but it evolved through time and it evolved in a really frightening way because you look at it and you look at what's available from a security perspective, and the only real conclusion that you can draw from it is that that technology that was being employed by the criminal group was more powerful than the technology we're deploying to stop it. And it had these ways of hiding, right? Polymorphic coding, using stenography, being able to live off the land by copying other process applications so it wouldn't send off alerts and alarm bell whistles, right? So it did all of this. But what I thought was interesting with that instance was that the infrastructure that they developed that started off in one use case and then had expanded across loads and loads of other ones was being used, that infrastructure, by criminal groups that were deploying ransomware, right? So the big gangs that you know of, like Conti, for example, being one of them, and there's a huge volume of these gangs, they were piggybacking off the infrastructure of this Quackbot, botnet infrastructure. They were utilizing that to get into organizations. And what I realized when I did this research was that actually these criminal groups are very collaborative, right? And part of our problem in the private sector, or even in law enforcement, when you're talking about cross-territory and how we coordinate and communicate and how effective that process is that the conclusion that I drew is that in the private sector, we're competitive, right? And what we don't want to do is, half the time, the first question that any breach, I guarantee it, in the boardroom, one of the first questions that's asked is, do we need to tell anybody about this, right? First question, because it's embarrassing and we know it's damaging for the brand and it's damaging. And we can see this. I mean, there was a car dealership group a couple of years ago that had a cyber incident and told their staff that it was an IT failure, right? They had an IT failure. They never said it was a cyber incident. About a year later, the information got dumped onto the dark web or found, and it led to a group litigation claim of all of the employees of that company who were suing their employer for lying to them about the cyber breach, which had impacted their data. And so as a private sector, what we do is we do that, right? We limit damage. We go into damage limitation, and I get it. That's what I would encourage as well, right? How do we limit the damage? But the problem is what we're not sharing is how these incidents occurred, what to do to collaboratively understand the data and become more powerful in being able to how we respond to it or how we prevent these things from happening. When the criminal side, they talk really effectively, right? And Bing, you mentioned somebody that might be only £50, right? Let's just say I've only been defrauded £50, and I'll say, well, at the end of the day, it seemed like a good opportunity, and I only lost out on £50, so nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? But I'm going to end up on a list that's going to be circulated to other fraudsters that are going to say, this is William. William paid me £50. He may have known it was a fraud and he still paid me £50. So let's target William with other types of fraud now because he might be susceptible. And these are the communications which are being exchanged by criminal groups. And what I've found really is that cross-territory, these groups coordinate. So in the end of this story with Quackbot, the FBI noticed that all these ransomware gangs were committing crimes based on the infrastructure that they were deploying, which was Quackbot's infrastructure. They were borrowing off them. And so the FBI, with a huge force, came after them. 17 different countries, 17 jurisdictions. They identified the network and they managed to actually really badly impact that infrastructure, the FBI. They managed to dismantle large amounts of the infrastructure. But do you know how many arrests they made? Claire knows the answer, so you can't talk, Claire.
No.
Bing, how many arrests do you think happened on the back of that?
I don't know. I don't think it's very effective.
Well, there were 1,500 FBI law enforcement, and even though it was a success in terms of dismantling the network, they didn't make a single arrest. So, what does that say? And I suppose with what you were just saying about actually, right, these systems and structures in these criminal groups are so convoluted and so, professional, right? Like, Lockbit were hit. Did you see Lockbit got hit by the National Crime Agency? And they wrote out a thing to all of their affiliate members, and it looked just like the communication a private sector company would put out. And you were like, God, these organizations aren't being run in a garage somewhere. They've got proper commercial buildings that they're running these operations out of, and it's that's what we're up against.
Yeah, so actually this is some concept that we can use for money laundering. So we knew that money laundering happens, we need to have dirty money at the beginning, right? So we try to predict crime. So like some crime already happened. Then they will use money laundering as a tool to clean their dirty money. And eventually this money when this money is be cleaned, they're not just enjoy the money, they're gonna invest back or invest further crime. So that's why I feel like organized crime groups, they are strong and they're effective, and because they rely on each other. Fraud group need money laundering group. A money laundering group rely on fraud, scam, other crimes to exist, so they can make money. So everyone can make money from this. So it's a circle. Predict crime, money laundering, and invest in further crime or invest back to the scam. That's why it's so strong. And and also for the law enforcement, like we don't share information country to country, and how like you knew there's a Chinese leader living in Thailand. How can you get the power as a Chinese officer to go arrest them in Thailand? And anytime, definitely, it happened actually. Chinese authority, Chinese government really trying to tackle down fraud, and they did those things like several times. It also costs a lot. And funding and people, police force, time. So that's why it's kind of like a difficult issues and a lot of challenge. And also fraud is not just one story, they don't change. They follow all the trends. So something happens, they will give you a new story. Something happened during the COVID, something during the COVID, some people pretend to sell the mask online or things like that. So, and also like the technology we're talking about. So many new technology exist and emerge out, and general public don't know so much, and then scammer pretend to be a professional and using those things to scam you.
Yeah, well, there was even a story that broke a couple of days ago. I won't name and shame the video provider, but it was the German government that was discussing defense and military operations with Ukraine that was intercepted on one of the video platforms, right? And I think this is one of the things as well about people, is that our hand was forced with the pandemic. It was like, do you want to continue working or do we just want to shut down completely? And there's Claire's cat.
Yeah, the cats are joining today, guys. It's a cat episode.
But I thought to myself, like what we did with the pandemic to stay operational was we basically just rushed into going, okay, let's use this new technology. Oh, what, Microsoft Teams, Zoom? Oh, this is great. Oh, there's a 40-minute limit. That's a bit rubbish, right? But we can reboot it and reload it. But the problem with video conferencing for me is that it's so powerful and it's so effective for people in their personal lives as well as for business. We're using it right now, right? So we can't be critical. But right, it's a mass convenience tool, isn't it? Yeah. Because it's got a huge, like Zoom has 300 million daily users. Teams, just underneath that, 280 million daily unique users to the platform. These platforms were built for convenience. They weren't built for all types of conversations when it's confidential or when it's sensitive. So we're starting to see this change, right? Because there was huge fines to the financial services sector last year for using WhatsApp. I don't know, being in China, if WeChat has been discussed by banks and things like that about customers and whether that has incurred regulatory fines on the back of that or not. But certainly in Europe it has, right? We've gone after organizations like banks who were discussing sensitive information across platforms like WhatsApp, and they were using that to communicate. And I think we're starting to go into a bit actually where we're looking at the technology technology and going, this is my view, right? But I think we're guilty of using a one-size-fits-all with technology too often. And the reason's convenience, right? Because we don't want all these additional apps. We don't have to do this. We don't have to pay extra for that. So can this function do it? Yes, it can. Let's use it. But actually, we're not considering the risk in those scenarios. Your cat looks very happy, by the way, Claire.
She's currently washing herself, which is very rude of her. Thank you. Thanks, Shadow.
So I think the technology thing is a big area. One thing I just thought I'd signpost that I've seen recently, and I don't know if you've seen instances of this as well, Bing, but it was something that someone had posted through someone's door that was we tried to deliver your package and you weren't in, right? But it was fraudulent and it was fake, and it had a QR code to be scanned that took you to a cloned website, and it said on the note that there's a small rebooking fee that's applicable. So it's already bracing you for the fact of your expectation that you're going to have to pay that. And then you'll go on to this website that looks genuine, looks authentic, and you'll create a profile or maybe you'll just put your card details in for a very nominal small amount that you think, well, it's just $1.99. But obviously then they capture your payment details. They could load it with malware. And so what I think is interesting about it is that for ages, you had notices on doors, right? No cold callers, right? No, when was the last time someone knocked on your door to sell you something, right? It doesn't happen anymore. And then our behavior became like online, right? And people started noticing that they were getting scammed and defrauded through things like phishing websites. So we're becoming quite not there yet, actually. Like, I think there's still a huge amount that needs to be done around security awareness. The amount of companies that do engage in programs and really take it seriously is actually quite small. People do it for compliance, but there's a difference between doing it to make an impact and doing a tick box type exercise. And I would encourage that this is one of those things that you need to do properly and not just see it as a tick box, but see it as a cultural change that you need to bring in to secure the business, and the risk from the business. But what's interesting with that technique is that it's almost saying, okay, now you've got used to scrutinizing things online. We're going to throw a curveball. We're going to put something physical in your hand. And that's going to lead you to an online site where we're going to commit the same crime. But the credibility is the physical interaction. And that's what throws people, right? Because they've got their door. And so it builds that additional credibility. So this is the kind of change of tactics that we're seeing, where people are adapting the physical world and the digital world, and everything that we've spoken about being all that reconnaissance and research and intelligence, and the criminals are using it. So what we need to be doing as private sector companies and law enforcement and everything around, counter fraud, is we need to be utilizing the same tools, right? And fighting back with the technology that they're harnessing so effectively.
Yes. I think that's a good point. Like, we need to work together. It's not like just individual need to raise up your awareness of fraud. The authority, government need to do more job, and also for the organizations, for the financial institutions, they also need to establish some like anti-money laundering or anti-fraud measurements to combine those everything.
Yeah.
I just feel just a very interesting way is like the main methods that the Chinese government are using actually is still like talking about raise up the general public's awareness about fraud. That's why they build up some app and they upload the news to you, like the new scam to people like you to read about the story, be aware of this, don't be a scammer in this type of story. But actually in the UK we found out the UK government actually I feel like the UK is more forward. The companies or financial institutions, they kind of ask them to mind your business, to prevent your clients to be a victim. So otherwise they will fund this financial institution. So I'm not sure have you heard about this APP fraud. Let me just search it. It's a new thing. So before, if you're a victim of the one type of fraud, so you can even form some reimbursement form from your bank. but it's not necessary to be successful to get the money back or not. I think there is APP bank fraud. What's the name of it? Authorized push payment.
Yeah.
Yes.
APP fraud. So it's more like making the victim more convenient to form the reimbursement and take the money back. But it's kind of impossible in China. Like I asked some police officers and some researchers in China, I'm saying, is China trying to establish some laws or legislations about prevent those things? Because if you ask a victim, what do you want? They say, I want my money back. Everyone's talking about, I want my money back. However, if it's kind of like impossible nowadays, if you transfer your money, it immediately flew away. You don't even know which country. 10 seconds from China to UK, or it's like it's already turning around. You don't even know. So the money can flow very quick. So it's kind of impossible for the victim to get the money back. Even you arrest the scammer, right? It's kind of like difficult. However, the UK authority is trying to establish this kind of new rules on those in financial system, kind of require them to pay the money back. So I think it's really, I really hope it works, because this can make everyone start to awareness. So it's not just the victim's responsibility, or it's not just the authorities. So everyone needs to involve in. Everyone needs to work together. So,
and I think that's so important. And Claire, you do a lot of that good stuff yourself, darling, and spreading the word. And
I try.
I think that's why it's important that people understand how they might be targeted and what they're doing. And it is a joined up effort. I mean, one of the, being in China, when somebody is convicted of fraud, are they given long jail sentences, custodial sentences?
Of course.
But see, this is the change, right? Because in the UK, when you're convicted of fraud, you go to a prison that's not that bad for a length of time, which isn't that long. Meanwhile, though, it is long enough that you can write a book and get a Netflix special.
Oh my God.
Or a Channel 4 show built off of it, right? So this is one of my problems with it, because, we don't you don't get people who were involved in gang crime and they shot someone. And when they come out of jail, they get recruited to the armed forces, or they get recruited to the armed police unit, right? Because they've got a background. But for some reason within fraud, we do that, don't we? Like that's something that we do. And it's we make it, sensationalize it. We create these TV dramas. They're great to watch. I love them. Right. But in some ways, what we're doing is almost promoting this culture around fraud. Whereas, in China, with long custodial sentences, that isn't something that we generally see here. And, I don't know what percentage of crime fraud is in China, but the percentage it is in the UK is astronomical. It is the biggest crime of choice in the UK. And I feel like people don't even know that. So when you're talking about the awareness, one of the key bits of awareness to start with for people in the UK, cyber-related fraud, which is just using old techniques and new technology, right? That's what that is really, right? But, it's so prolific and so prevalent that I don't think people have even realized. And so when people talking about crime prevention, they're still talking about burgling in houses being burgled. But they're not seeing actually that there's this enormous growing marketplace which is being committed, which is around cyber fraud. And so I think that is the start point, for the police to make the public aware this is the crime of choice and this is where we need to try. And to be fair to the law enforcement, I think they're trying, and they face lots of challenges, and it's difficult, and there's no straight, it's not going to be a quick path to success, right? It's going to have to be a program and a strategic vision over decades to try and reduce that.
In the UK, it's lack of the police force, even for more visible crime like a burglary or like thieves. Not enough police officer can deal with those minor crime, or you say deviance, like the teenager messing around. But and don't even mention about those economic crime. Don't even mention about fraud. But actually, China, they put a lot of effort on those kind of things. They, like the police officer, they need to talk with the people in their neighborhood. Like sometimes they have these tasks to do. Like you need to have a regular conversation with the people living in your area.
Community outreach, that type of thing.
Yeah, so they hold a lot of like conference or in the university classes to raise up people's attention about fraud. And China is a communist country, so actually, if the authority want to do something, they have more power, they have more right to do it. It's more easy, more smoothly process to do it. But it's different. It's so different here. It's kind of impossible to raise up people's attention in that way. But I think today's our conversation, hopefully, we got a lot of audience to listen and can help to raise up people's attention on those things. Yeah, so next
fascinating. The view of fraud from China is a view I've never heard before. So it's fascinating. And I'm sure it's fascinating to lots of people that are listening to this as well.
Yeah, don't learn those things and just be careful. Don't be a victim, but don't scam other people by using these tools.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so that is all we have and time for this episode. I'd like to thank Dr. Bing Han and William Taaffe as well, and for joining me, as well as our cats, of course, for joining us and today and to talk about cybercrime and fraud. And thank you both, and also thank you to everyone who is either watching or listening to this episode. My name is Claire Maillet, and this is Fraudible.